Hi, I'm Ron Lucas. I'm Deputy Service Safety Director for the City of Athens. I'm here today to talk to you about the IPS smart meters that we are placing in the uptown area.
Where are the smart meters going to be located?
Everywhere where there's a parking meter. So primarily the uptown corridor, which is Mulberry to Carpenter, and then there are some streets that have parking meters that are off of that beaten path a little bit, like West State Street, East State Street, Lash, Congress, a little piece of President Street, and Richland Avenue just west of BW3. So, so there's that opportunity to replace everything when new.
How do I feed these new meters?
Quarters, dimes, nickels to get your time as you could with the older meters. You can also use smart debit cards and credit cards from a swipe standpoint. And they're still functional with mobile applications. So we're going to continue our use of Parkmobile since it's very established in the city of Athens, particularly with the city and a high university. But IPS, the company that we're buying that we bought the meters from, they have a application called Park Smarter, and the biggest difference with that is not only is it geared, it fully integrates with their proprietary software system that we'll be using, but it also eliminates the transaction fee that Parkmobile charges. So instead of having that 35-cent per transaction fee, you're just going to pay $1 to park for an hour or 75 cents to park for an hour, and the city will absorb the finance charges.
Should I use Park Smarter over Parkmobile?
You know, it's all about what the customer wants to do. Again, Parkmobile is pretty established, and you can use that in numerous communities, so I think that there's still going to be a desire for people to use Parkmobile, but I think once that people start figuring out that, hey, this Park Smarter app doesn't charge me a fee, that might be a little more attractive. Another thing that the app does is it shows you available parking spaces, because those parking spaces are all real time, and they utilize a 4G cellular device that communicates with all the other meters.
How does Park Smarter know where spots are open?
So it utilizes a combination of Google Maps and the GPS location of the parking meter poles. So I don't know if you've seen, but we've reduced the footprint of poles by about 50% because we did all double meters where we could. So that cleans up the street quite a bit in terms of what you see from a visual standpoint when you're driving or walking. And those will show you, if you're utilizing the app, those will show you what you're doing real time.
Why did the city decide to get new meters?
Using the older gear-based system, it's coin only, can't be expanded to accept credit cards. So that was something that we learned from the uptown traffic study that people wanted. So we selected a meter that gives our citizens that opportunity to use a quarter, or hey, I don't have a quarter, I can use my smart card. No bills, you can't use bills, but coin or debit card, credit card, mobile app, whatever, but it's all tied into one system from a back end, from our parking enforcement standpoint. So they'll be able to use iPhones with the IPS enforcement software to be able to do what they need to do to make sure people are parking correctly.
Why do some meters cost more than others?
We looked at all the parking spaces and determined where the bulk of people park during the highest peak times. And that was the area that we decided to go with in terms of being the high intensity parking zone. And we didn't make that decision in a vacuum. I looked at it, the captain of the police department looked at it, parking enforcement officers looked at it, and we all brought it together to make those zones. So those are $1 an hour. And then the moderate zones, which are just outside of that main area where we would like to see more people park, is 75 cents an hour. And then the outer level, which is like East State Street on the far end, or West State Street on the far end, or lower end of West Union down by Smith Street, That's our 50 cent zone, the low intensity parking area. And those are subject to change, so we'll review the data periodically to see, well, maybe that isn't a high intensity zone. Maybe that should be a moderate, or vice versa. Maybe a moderate zone truly is a high intensity zone, and we can make those changes. Now we'll only have the domes, which reset the meter once a car leaves to 0. We'll only have those in the high intensity zones. The rest of the meters won't have those domes that will reset the meters.
How do the smart meters know when someone has left a spot?
There's a sensor that's a dual mounted, it's a sensor that goes both ways, and it can sense when a vehicle is there and when it leaves. So when your vehicle pulls in, it's not doing anything. You feed the meter or pay the meter via your card or app. Now it goes live, and as soon as that vehicle leaves, it reads that and resets the meter to 0. So you can't pigtail parking in the high intensity area.
What are rapid parking spots?
You can calibrate each meter to be set up for different times. So most spaces are 2-hour maximum, but handicapped spaces are 4. And you can do that on the back end and tell the meter what it's gonna charge. Each one's individual. There's also 10-hour spaces. So the rapid parking spaces are going to be 20-minute meters. So basically I can pull in, put a quarter in and get 10 cents or 10 minutes, and then go and get my cup of coffee or my newspaper or a quick carry-out dinner or whatever. Having those opportunities for people to utilize those spaces and get traffic in and out of those so that they aren't parking there all day.
Where are the rapid spaces going to be located?
There's a little bit on every section. There's typically, the way I tried to design it is 2 per block and closest to the intersections. But there are exceptions to that, depending on how long the block is. Having them so that you don't have to parallel park, you can just pull in and pull out. That was one of the criteria that we wanted to use. And we just looked strategy in terms of what type of business is here and would they benefit from a rapid park meter. So again, since it's a per meter thing, you can completely customize that. So let's say one of your fast park meters is somewhere that you're expecting a lot of use and that business climate changes, you can move that spot to a different location and just change the rate on that existing meter. The biggest difference is there's going to be a visual difference with the rapid park meters. There'll be green. So when you're driving, you'll see a green meter and say, oh, that's a... Plus we'll add some kind of fancy sign to it as well.
What are some of the concerns you've heard from citizens? Would you like to address those concerns?
The biggest current concern is that we're gouging in terms of raising rates and trying to take money from people's pockets, and that's not true. The uptown parking system is meant to sustain businesses in the uptown area. You know, so if you have storage parking on Court Street in your high intensity areas, that's not moving people away from the business district. They're just hanging out, parking all day. They understand the system that they can just move to a non-adjacent space and put a couple more dollars in and have 2 more hours. You know, that goes against the way that we want people to experience uptown. You know, so moving people more consistently is key so that businesses are able to feel the benefit from multiple people coming in. You know, so a lot of the complaints that we hear is that there's never a place to park. So let's give people the option to still park in the uptown area, but they may need to park a little bit further away if they want to have the same rate that they're used to, which should, in theory, open up spaces in the downtown or the uptown area for people to be able to go to businesses.